Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Well, there's some big foam boxes in front of us. We all know what that means. It's time for another HAOLONGGOOD review. And today we're taking a look at their Daspletosaurus. I'm super excited for the Daspletosaurus. As some of you know, Daspletosaurus is my favorite Tyrannosaur. So every time we get a figure of the species, it just makes me extremely happy. Now, I end up getting these figures from AliExpress. My online toy store is my preferred HAOLONGGOOD AliExpress seller. These figures retail for around 25 bucks. Obviously, I always go for the out-of-the-box version. Saves me a few bucks that way, and I'll leave a link to them down below in the description if you want to pick some of these up for yourself. So obviously no need to go over the packaging. Yep, foam inserts that come with in the box. These come with an aquarium plant for some reason, and that's about it. So let's throw these two up on the turntable and take a closer look. And here are both Daspletosaurs out of the packaging, and I think these two figures turned out absolutely great. This is HAOLONGGOOD's first attempt at a lipped theropod. Their other two releases, Allosaurus and Carnotaurus, both sported the lipless look. And the reason for that is HAOLONGGOOD has, they're very communicative on the Dinosaur Toy forum, is that it was really hard for them to do the tooling on the mold to give figures with that head size lips. So they pulled it off with their Daspletosaurs, and I think they did a really good job. They're not quite refined with their theropods, but they're getting much better with them, and I just absolutely love how these turned out. Just a big, bulky Tyrannosaur. I did like PNSO's release of Daspletosaurus, but I always felt like it was just a little too skinny and not as bulky. These are what I picture a Daspletosaurus should look like. Nice, big, bulky, powerful looking predator. You get two color schemes. You get a purple version and a green version, and I think both of them turned out really nice. Even the purple one looks nice and natural. It's a very subdued purple with all that nice pattern over the body. Everyone's biggest complaint with PNSO is they do a lot of brown dinosaurs, and they're trying to do a natural look. You can do natural looks with other colors, and these two right here are perfect examples of that. You get some bright splashes of orange on these figures. They don't look dull and brown and boring. They have just enough color to make them pop while still looking nice and natural. And now for some measurements. These figures are 11.6 inches long from the tip of the snout to the tip of the tail, or 29.5 centimeters, and just a hair under 4 inches tall to the top of the head, or about 10 centimeters. So Daspletosaurus in real life is between 28 to 30 feet long, or 8.5 to 9 meters. So I put these figures in the 129 to the 131 scale range. So yeah, they're a little bit bigger than 135. I know that's going to bother some people. I'm actually okay with it. I just like the bulk of these figures, and I think they're going to look really, really great on my shelf along with all the other Transformer figures, especially the ones from PNSO. And now let's zoom and take a look at some of the finer details on this figure. Starting with the purple version, it's my favorite one of the two. This is a nice head sculpt on here. I believe they were going for Daspletosaurus Taurosus. It's very, very nicely done. They definitely did some weird scalation on the head. It makes the figure look slightly odd. Like I said, they're getting there with their theropods, and this is still a vast improvement over their Allosaurus and Carnotaurus. I think they did a really great job on it. Just absolutely love the blue eye on here. Blue eyes on theropods, I think, are absolutely striking and beautiful. You can see the eye is painted black with a black pupil. Unfortunately, mine has a little bit of a quality control issue. On this side, the eye is painted fine. When we get to this side over here, the eye is a little bit too far facing forward. It actually does look kind of cool, like the animal's looking forward, but man, when you look at it from the front, you just get that, the crazy eyes look all over the place. But yeah, the head sculpt looks really nice. You got that nice binocular vision. All the ornamentation on the head is nice and decked out in bright orange paint. That had a nice splash of color. Lower jaw has a nice deep purple on here with all these really big exaggerated scales. You have a little bit of dry brushing on white to bring all the scale detail. You can clearly see the enamel fenestra. It's barely shrink wrap. It's really not that big a deal to me. You got the nostril and the ear canal right here. Here's a view from the top of the head, and the head sits on a nice, very thick, powerful looking neck. And here's a view from the underside. You can see they went with the nice lip look, and the jaw articulation actually works pretty well. This is a good first attempt for a lipped articulation on a HAOLONGGOOD figure. And let's take a look inside the mouth. You got some really nice mouth details. In here, you got the nasal patches sculpted in. Every time I see them, I absolutely love seeing that detail. Nice, very deep throat that looks like it goes on forever. Nicely sculpted tongue. All the teeth are nicely painted and sculpted. And close of the mouth, we get a nice flush closed mouth. Very, very nicely done. And then going down to the forearms, you got, Daspletosaurus had the largest proportional arms of any Tyrannosaur species, and these are beautifully recreated on here. Nice, very short but powerful looking arms. The hand claws are decked out in a glossy black paint. And then going down to the body, we have, mixtures of yellow, brown, and purple mixed in here. Like I said, it's a nice natural look, but does that purple adds just a little bit of vibrancy, to just make it stand out on the shelf. Lots of nice scale detail all over the figure. Nice folds and wrinkles around the thigh area. On the underside, we have a nice cream coat with a little bit of pink mixed in. Kind of reminds me of some of the P&SO figures that definitely taken some inspiration from P&SO. And then going down to the legs, you can clearly see the leg seam on the hind legs. I just wish on this version it looks, the purple version looks really nice. On the green version, I think it's a little bit of glue spilt over. We'll get that a little bit later. It makes the seam very, very noticeable. And then going down to the hind legs, beautifully sculpted hind legs. A lot of nice scale detail on here. Toe claws are black underneath of the feet. Nice scale detail on the bottom of the feet. And since we have the figure flipped over with a nice, beautiful cloaca slit highlighted by black paint, so you definitely cannot miss that butthole. And then going from the top, nice barrel-chested sculpt for the body. Just absolutely love how thick and powerful the Daspletosaurus look. This is just definitely one of my favorite figures from HAOLONGGOOD, and a lot of their figures are fantastic. Nice thick tail base. You have all that nice pattern going down to the end of the tail, a little bit more purple at the end with some black stripes at the end of the tail. So yeah, definitely a really, really cool looking figure. My only complaint is just like some of that scalation on the head just looks kind of odd, but yeah, like I said, it's still a great figure all around. And now let's take a look at the green version. Obviously, they are all the same sculpt, but this one features a much, much lighter color scheme. As you can see, this one is also suffering from some quality control. I do have some white paint that seems like it's splashed on the figure. I'm gonna see if I can get some acrylics and color match that and just cover up these. Really not a big deal. It happens with every action figure ever made. There's always a few that slip through the cracks that have some flaws on them, so it's really not a big deal. But yeah, same thing, just that weird scalation on the head just really makes the figure look kind of off. I think the white dry brushing is what really highlights how odd those scales look. I think if they didn't do that, it wouldn't really be as noticeable. Same thing, got really nice jaw articulation with that nice lipped look. And look at P&SO jumping on the bandwagon, finally doing it. Inside the mouth, nice details. You got the nasal passages, nicely sculpted tongue and teeth. They really did a good job with this articulation. And look how cute that Daspletosaurus looks from the front. Both eyes are painted nice on mine. Those blue eyes just look absolutely great. And then going down to the rest of the body, we get this really nice mix of yellows and greens with all these black markings. It almost looks like, light shimmering through water. It just really breaks up the pattern. It has a nice camouflage look to it. Got those nice, short, powerful looking forearms, hand claws done in black. On the other side, we have that pink for the underside, around the chest and around the hip area and the underside of the tail. The cloaca slit, and this one does not have black paint in there, so it's really hard to see Mr. Desplete's bum hole. And then going down to the legs on this side, like I was talking about, see there's a little bit of glue poking out where that seam is, so it gives it a shiny look, so it really draws a lot of attention to that seam. Really not the biggest deal in the world. You get some nice dark markings on the legs. The legs are absolutely sculpted fantastic. Love the nice walking pose that these figures are sculpted in. And then going down to the body, let's take a look at the pattern from the top. That nice thick neck, some more paint blotches on there. A little disappointing, but I will fix that. Nice thick tail base, and you have some nice bright orange for the end of the tail, which I think is a very, very cool look. So yeah, both versions are great, but the purple one is definitely my favorite. And moving on with comparisons, here it is with Collecta's 1/40 scale human. And it's been a really good year or so for people that love Daspletosaurus. Here is P&SOs that came out a few months ago. Like I said, it was a good figure. It just feels really, small and thin. Especially compared next to P&SO's Gorgosaurus. I just feel like it should have been a bulkier looking animal, but the head shape of the P&SO one looks, very close to Daspletosaurus wilsonii. At least now you can have two different species of Daspletosaurus to display with them. And then here is Safari's limited take on Daspletosaurus, which is another fine figure. Safari figures a little bit more crude, compared to these higher end figures, but at least we have Daspletosaurus in every different price point now, so you could take your pick for your collection. And next up, here it is with Pienesos, Gorgosaurus, Daspletosaurus, and Gorgosaurus coexisted in the same ecosystem, and I think their Gorgo looks absolutely great with HAOLONGGOOD Daspletosaurus. My other issue with Pienesos, Daspletosaurus, it was actually a little bit smaller than the Gorgosaurus, and Gorgo is pictured as a more fleet-footed, agile hunter, and Daspletosaurus is the powerhouse of the environment. So it's kind of weird just having Pienesos be like smaller than the Gorgo, but I think these two actually complement each other very, very well. And next up here are HAOLONGGOOD's other two theropods. They're Carnotaurus, which is a good figure, and the Allosaurus, which is just kind of mid. But yeah, you can clearly see the differences now, that they are definitely getting the hang of their theropods. The Carnotaurus was a great attempt. I wish it had lips. It would have been pretty much the perfect Carnotaurus in my collection. But the Daspletosaurus are definitely a huge step in the right direction. And here it is with Pienesos Wilson. I'm so glad I held off on camera now that Pienesos is showing they're going the lipped route. The Yang Tyrannosaurus just came out and it had lips, and I guess the reason for that was they sculpted the lip because I guess the way the skull is constructed would leave gaps. So that's cool and all, and then all of a sudden they just release Saurophagonax with no explanation, and it has lips. Just pick a lane, Pieneso. We don't need these big explanations to say, yeah, we're going with lips now, and that's it. And lastly, let's end this on a Judith River Formation group shot. That's the formation Daspletosaurus was found in with Gorgosaurus. So we have Pienesos, Corythosaurus, Spinops. Over here we have Safaris, Zool. Here's the HAOLONGGOOD Daspletes, Pienesos, Gorgosaurus, and HAOLONGGOOD's Edmontonia. So yeah, really cool that we get more species from that formation. I can't wait to see what HAOLONGGOOD has in store for us. They've been really great with the variety of species they've been giving us. Would love to see some Hadrosaurs from them, and I would just love for a Camptosaurus. A lot of us want a nice 135 scale Camptosaurus to go into our Morrison formation displays, and that species for some reason everyone just ignores it. Yeah, I think there's a crap ass one from collecting, but there's barely anything out there. So I'd love to see them tackle that species. And if you're doing Morrison stuff, HAOLONGGOOD Barosaurus would also be excellent. So final thoughts on HAOLONGGOOD's Daspletosaurus. I love these figures. It's easily their best theropod so far, and gets extra bonus points because it's my favorite Tyrannosaur species of all time. Both color schemes are great. My preference is the purple one, but both, you can't go wrong with either one. The lip look looks great on there. They did a really good job for their first attempt on a lip theropod. Yeah, mine have a couple quality control issues, like the mispainted eye and the sloppy paint on the green one, but those little issues are not stopping me at all from enjoying these figures. This is the Daspletosaurus figure in that roughly 135 scale range that I'm really wanting for my collection. Just has the bulk, the size, and the presence to fit into the style I collect. And like I said at the beginning of the review, I ended up getting mine from AliExpress. The link is down below in the description if you want to order one of these amazing figures for yourself. And, Everything Dinosaur is finally stocking HAOLONGGOOD. I don't think they got the Daspletosaurus in yet, but I'm sure they'll probably get them in the next month or so with the next round of shipments. So that will do it for the review. I think I got one more Jurassic World figure I got to catch up on from months ago, and a third-party Transformer. I'm all caught up with reviews on the channel, so I'll probably start filling some stuff in with some older figures from the past and do some retro reviews. So stay tuned for all that. And as always, if you're enjoying the content on the channel, show your support by hitting that subscription button just below the video. Each subscription helps out the channel tremendously, and it's greatly appreciated. And I'll see you guys for the next one.